We continue the conversation with Eskom Gauteng General Manager Bandile Jack and IRS Forensic Investigations CEO Chad Thomas. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Chad, I want to start with you. You hear Keegan there saying it feels like we're losing the battle. I mean, what is the sort of progress that we are making in dealing with cable theft across the country? And are we really, I mean, the true cost of it, perhaps maybe that's where we need to start, the true cost of cable theft, a school losing 11 classrooms that accommodate over 200 learners?
Look, he's not wrong. It does seem that we're losing a battle. When one looks at our critical infrastructure, how it's been impacted by criminal elements, we see the devastation around us. And it's something that needs to be seriously addressed. When I look to the illegal mining, they arrested some people that they claim to be kingpins. Those were not kingpins. And the same applies to when we see people arrested selling copper cables at various scrapyards, etc. Those are not the kingpins. The kingpins are sitting able to buy themselves protection. And until we tackle this as an organized crime and start taking down the actual kingpins, there will remain a market for this illicit product. So we need to really focus on this as an organized crime. And although there's a critical infrastructure task team that's been established amongst our law enforcement, again, stop concentrating on the bottom feeders, concentrate on the people who are making the money at the very top. Once you remove them, you remove the market.
Yeah, let's bring Bandile in here. Of course, Gauteng Distribution General Manager at Eskom. Bandile, good evening to you. Give us a picture of the true cost of cable theft from Eskom's point of view. Perhaps you even have, a number for us of what, how it's impacting the bottom line.
Hi, Naledi.
Yes, are you able to hear us, Bandile?
I can hear you, yes, Naledi.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks to your viewers.
Sure.
This is a very serious matter that really affects the country at an economical level. It is a serious matter that affects communities, it affects businesses, it affects the safety and security of our own communities in several fronts. I can just mention to you that just in 2023-2024, we lost about 279 million. And we had about 3,732 incidences that were from criminal activities, that are from infrastructure vandalism, cable theft, and so on.
Is that in Gauteng? Apologies, just to interject. Is this in Gauteng? Just to get a picture.
This is nationally.
Okay.
Not just in Gauteng.
Sure.
In 2024-2025, we've lost about 239. We had about 2,647 incidences. There is little happening. That is due to the collaboration that we have with Night Joints, with the Energy Safety and Security Priorities Committee, with our communities, but there is still a lot to be done. The impact is real and the impact is felt by many communities, many businesses, and it really needs to be dealt with at all levels.
Yeah. What is the issue, Chad, in policing something like cable theft in our communities? Where's the difficulty? You hear even the chairperson of that SGB of Riverlea High School saying sometimes the community will actively try and find these people, and then a few days later we find them back on the streets of our area again.
Well, when one looks at Operation Chanela and other operations carried out by the South African Police Service, we hear of hundreds of thousands of arrests in a year, but we don't hear of hundreds of thousands of prosecutions. The problem lies in the fact that we have a detective service that isn't fully capacitated, doesn't have enough members or resources. The Hawks themselves are only 51% capacitated. So these guys will be back on the street within 48 hours because there hasn't been an effective investigation conducted, and no prosecutor is going to enroll a docket if they don't believe there's a prospect of a successful prosecution. So that's the first problem. The second problem is we have what I call the Band-Aid approach. Every time there's a massive problem, and infrastructure is one of those, you'll see a task team established to investigate that. But those same members, because they're skilled, will then be used in another task team to investigate murder for hire or kidnap for ransom or ATM bombings or CRT heists. We just don't have enough members in South Africa. And of course, having some of the highest incidents of violent crime in the world, including GBVF, we have to concentrate our efforts in investigating those types of crimes. So very often these other crimes fall by the wayside because the state doesn't have enough members to investigate all the types of crime we're experiencing.
Yeah, Bandile, perhaps you can make a call to authorities on how to get things right, because this is not just about protecting infrastructure and certainly, you know, something as important as a school, but also just how we're able to supply power to, you know, those of our community members. Your call to action? Bandile, did you hear my question? Just your call to action for authorities.
We are working with authorities, Naledi. We are in collaboration with other state-owned entities. We are in collaboration with communities. Our call is to work tirelessly with us. Let's partner in terms of dealing with and stamping out this misdemeanor that we are facing. And we are really asking for assistance and support at all with all communities at all levels, and we definitely need to make sure that this gets dealt with, because it really is making us have a very bad reputation, one, as a company, as if we don't know what we are doing. So we really would love to collaborate with communities, and where we have been collaborating with communities, we can see the results of that collaboration. And we will be doing more of that and working with law enforcement agencies. There is a lot that is being done, and we really are thankful that we are collaborating with law enforcement agencies in our government level and other entities. So we call upon our communities to stamp this, report it, work with us, and collaborate with law enforcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to take calls on the other side of it. 010-594-6010. Stay with us. Welcome back. We take calls now on our discussion on the impact of cable theft in our communities. 010-594-6010. Andile is calling in Durban. Andile, good evening to you.
Good evening, Nadeti. How are you?
I'm well, sir. Thank you so much for calling. Talk to us.
Thank you for having me. Nadeti, we've got a problem. One, the problem that you are having, I'm working for PRASA. I'm working in the cable unit. The problem that you are having, I think the government is supposed to close down all these scrap metals, because these scrap dealers, they're buying everything from the criminals, and I believe some of them, they are sent by these scrap dealers. So if the government can close down these scrap metal dealers, I think the problem will be solved, because the police are doing everything they can do in order to prevent this thing. But the problem is with the scrap metal dealers.
Yeah, and that's been a conversation that's been going on for a very long time. Perhaps Chad will help us with that one. Thank you so much for calling in, Andile. We really do appreciate that. Anonymous having sent in a WhatsApp. Let's take a look at what it is that Anonymous has had to say. Anonymous saying, good evening to you, Prince, here in Pumula. Okay, so you're not anonymous. The problem is that the responsible people are the ones working with perpetrators. Therefore, for us to win the war, it should start with the investigators to prosecutors being transparent about cable theft cases. Thank you so much for that, Prince. Chad, just that last thought there that has been shared by Andile, I think something for us to reflect on. You talked about really not just focusing on those at the bottom of the pyramid, but going right to the very top. Andile says, let's deal with the scrap metal dealers.
Look, to echo what Bandile was saying earlier regarding the cost that Eskom is measuring compared to the actual cost on the ground with the knock-on effect runs into the billions of rands, not into the hundreds of millions of rands, because you're effectively destroying industry and you're taking away livelihoods. This is why this has to be treated as a very serious crime. And we've seen that the state has, by creating these critical infrastructure task teams to try break the back of these syndicates. But not enough is being done to disrupt and dismantle the fact that this is an organized crime that is taking place. And until we address it as an organized crime and we take out everybody in the ecosystem, specifically those that are at the very top that are benefiting from this massive crime, we're not going to see a change. And part of that ecosystem is, of course, scrap dealers. They sit slap bang in the middle between those that are stealing and those that are buying the product. So they need to be investigated far more than what they are. And this comes to crime intelligence. Crime intelligence needs to insert agents. Crime intelligence needs to treat this as a massive project because it is crippling our economy.
Yeah. I want to take one last caller. Mohammed is in Johannesburg. Mohammed, good evening.
Good evening. I was a member of the NCOP until the last election. And I walked the southern part of Johannesburg from Ennerdale, Orange Farm, right through to Protea South. And what the court should do is treat this as economic sabotage and hence treason. And that's how it should be treated, not as an ordinary crime. Also, I think what was happening to the father shop should now happen to the scrap dealers. They should be re-registered, all of them. And if anyone is caught with stolen copper or stolen railway lines in the sheds, they should be shut down.
Yeah. And this is the thing, Mohammed, thank you so much for that. What you talk about is seeing it in the south of Johannesburg. It is seen in various parts of the country. Right, it's not just even just urban areas, but perhaps this is what we need to do, is to say, is there a way, Bandile, that we can start to find a central line of communication for community members? I mean, what do you think can be done for communities to also have some sort of power that they're able to protect their own infrastructure and be able to keep the lights on?
Naledi, what we've been doing currently as Eskom, working with the law enforcement agencies, is that we are partnering with the CPFs in local areas. We are also getting into partnerships with local security companies to make sure that we work together in safeguarding this infrastructure through collaboration and ensuring that in some cases we even ask them to work with us in reacting when we put security cameras in these areas, where we put them in substations and other infrastructure areas. We ask them to work with us in order to make sure that they also respond as local area security companies. That collaboration together with law enforcement and some operations that we've been conducting. We have conducted several operations where we've recovered some of our infrastructure equipment, which we have taken back from these areas, and we've then been able to use it again. So there is that collaboration. It is happening. We just need to intensify it. We need communities to make sure they don't encourage it, they don't participate, because most of these are also used to electrify using illegal means to the same communities. Basically, you will find a substation that is illegal, that is supplying the same communities illegally. So communities must stop participating in such. Let them buy electricity from Eskom, let them be connected to Eskom, and buy from legal vendors that we are using as Eskom. That participation would assist us, and they must report to us where there are these cases, where they know about them. Thank you very much.
A call to action to our communities and certainly to our authorities. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Bandile Jack is the Gauteng Distribution General Manager at Eskom, and Chad Thomas, their CEO of IRS Forensic Investigations. Well, you're still watching Newsfeed PM, the late edition. The WhatsApps have come in as they share their thoughts on that discussion. We take a look at a few of those now. Of course, the number 072-11-05584. Temba Tsuvuka from Ivory Park says, good evening, Naledi. This thing of cable theft shows that we are a lawless country, because even some of our law enforcement are involved. They always go to scrapyards to collect bribes. These are things the community members are able to see. Thabo says, cable theft has reached crisis levels. The government should focus more effort on syndicates, the real big players, as well as dealers of scrap metals. Early this morning, there was a break-in at my farm and I lost cable worth 10,000 rand. That's a lot of money. And Neville says, good evening, Naledi. I am from Riverlea and the SGB chair is spot on. We're struggling with these thugs with regards to cable theft. I just hope for the best for our community. Community struggling there in Riverlea, where, of course, a school there over the weekend catching a fire, losing 11 classrooms. And that, of course, the SGB, of course, suspecting that is due to cable theft. Well, we're going to wrap up that discussion there. We're going to take a short break as well. When we come back, More of your top stories of the day. Stay with us.